Hello everyone, it's Precious Doll right here, and in this video I will take you through the whole process of how to cut a Victorian corset from start to finish. I started by drawing a vertical line at the side of the paper. On that vertical line I input my length, the length of the corset, and I draw a straight line across to indicate where the length stops. So on the top of the paper, I will input my shoulder to shoulder measurement divided by 2, 14 divided by 2, which gives me 7.5. And I'm also going to mark the neckline for the front, which is 3, and the neck depth too, which is 3 inches. I went down from the shoulder point by 1, and also from that one I also went down by ½ inch. So I'm going to connect from the neck to that ½ inch that I mark. So I draw the neckline here, the front neckline. Please subscribe to my YouTube channel. Let us get to 1000 subscribers. Now it's time to measure the chest line. The chest line is your bust circumference divided by 6 plus 1.5. You're going to mark it from the 1 inch point I marked earlier. You want to draw a straight line across, and I'm making sure my line is straight for the chest line. Now I'm going to measure what I have, which is 7.5. I will also mark it on the chest line. I want to make sure my lines are straight. Then I'm going to draw a straight line going up and down from the shoulder points to the chest line. Now on the middle of the armhole, I'm going to input 0.75 for the curve at the armhole. Using my French ruler, I will draw a line at the armhole. So this is how it's looking like. The pattern is already coming gradually. Now I input my shoulder to waist measurement, and I'll mark it across. So now on the waistline, I'm going to input my waist circumference divided by 4 plus 1.5 for that, 1.5 inches for that. On the chest line, I will input my bust circumference divided by 4, and afterward I will connect a line from the bust down to the waist. And on the hip line, I'm going to go up by 2 inches because I do not want the corset to reach my hip, and I will mark across. So this will be the height of my corset. So on that hip line, I input the hip divided by 4, and I connect it to the waist using a curve ruler. Now I'm inputting my bust nipple to nipple divided by 2, 7 divided by 2, which give me 3.5, and I'm going to draw a straight line which will serve as the middle line for my dart. Now I draw my bust line. This is the underbust. I draw the underbust line. Now on the underbust, I will take in 1 inch towards the center front and 1.25 towards the side. And this I'm going to use my curve ruler to curve it. So do yours like the way I'm doing mine now. So now I extended the dart leg to the end of my corset, and there from the center front I will mark 1.75 inch, and I will connect a line from the underbust to that 1.7 inch that I mark, 1.75 inch that I mark at the length. So I'm going to measure the dart I have all together. I have 2.25, and I'm going to take it down toward to the end of the corset. I will measure it and take it down to the end of the corset, and I will input 1.5 at the end from the first dart leg. Then I will also connect it. I'll connect the side. So I want to shape it a little bit to avoid it from being too curvy. You don't want your corset to be too curvy, and you don't want it to have any sharp end. So I'm going to divide what I have here. I will measure what I have here and divide it by 2. What I have at that side, at the side of the front, and I'll divide it by 2. Then I'll draw a slanted vertical line like this. So I'm going to take in some dart, 0.5 on both sides of that line that I just drew. Then I'm going to connect the dart upward and downward. So after connecting the darts, I'll go towards the center front at the waistline. I'm also going to divide what I have there into 2 at the waist. And I'm going to draw a slant line across. But on this line there will be no dart. You will just cut it out and add your boning to it when you are sewing. I'm sorry for the change in the video settings. I apologize for this. So what I'm going to do now is to add darts to this blouse, to this front bodice. I forgot to add it earlier. You can add 1 or 1.5. So this is, I've created my bust dart henceforth. This 1 inch I use for that, I'm going to add it back to the length of the corset. I'm going to add it back at the bottom. After adding the length back, then I'm going to extend the dart leg into the new line that I just drew. What I'm going to do here is to measure the waist at the waistline, excluding the dart. Don't include the dart in your measurement. See the way I'm carrying it over to exclude the dart. So to know the extra I'm going to add, my waist divided by 4 is 7, but I won't make it 7 because I want to snatch the waist. So what I'm going to do is I'll just make it 5.5. So the remaining will be so that my waist will be snatched. So this is the dart. Now on the hip line, I'm going to measure the darts. The dart I have is 1.5, and I'm going to add it back at the side. We have to add it back so the hip measurement will not reduce. The waist measurement can reduce due to the snatching, but the hip measurement must not reduce. So I'm going to add the dart back for the hip using my French curve ruler. Then I'll connect the rest up to the bust line. I have shaded out the part that we will later cut. Now it's time to add the upper bust tightening. So I go down by 6 inches from the shoulder line, or you can go down by 6.5, and I will draw a line across. So I will measure what I have here, which is 3.5, and input it on the line that I just marked and draw a straight line. Now at the straight line, you will take in 0.5 inches at both sides of the line and connect using a straight line to the bust point. So what I'm going to do next is to close the bust dart. I have to open this dart here to close the bust dart. So I'm going to slash it and close the bust dart. So you slash it the way I'm doing here to the bust point. So after slashing, I will also slash this. I will also cut this side. So you do it the way you see me doing here. After slashing, you place it on the other side and use a paper tape to tape it down. So now it's time to close the upper bust dart, the upper tightening we did earlier. So you are going to close it a little bit without cutting anything yet, because we want to shape out the neckline. After folding, place your curve ruler and shape out the neckline. Use the desired neckline that you want and shape the neck out. Then cut the neckline out after shaping. So you are almost done now, and then you are going to just cut the bust tightening, and this is how it is looking like. So it's time to cut this side of the dart. So this is what we have. It's time to number it. Number it to avoid any confusion while joining. So number it. After that, we go on to the back. So for the back, you will input your shoulder divided by 2. Your neckline width is 3 and depth is 1 inch. So you draw your shoulder slope and then draw the neckline. Mind you, you can alter this neckline to form a new neckline. So I will draw a straight line for the shoulder, which is I measure 7.5 here so that my line can be straight, and I draw a straight line. At the middle, I go in by 0.5 for the armhole curve. And using my French curve ruler, I'm going to draw the armhole curve for the back. Now draw your bust line, waistline, and your hip line using your measurements. So now on the waistline, I will input 3.5, which is my nipple to nipple divided by 2, and I want to draw a vertical line using that measurement, 3.5 inches. So after I draw that line, this will be my dart line. So your waistline, input your waist circumference divided by 4 plus 1 inch for that, and your bust line to input your bust divided by 4, and on your hip line do the same, your hip circumference divided by 4. So you are going to connect the lines together like the way I'm doing here. So what I'm going to do now is, on both sides of that line that will serve as that dart line, you will take 0.5 on both sides and connect it to the top and bottom. After doing that, on the waistline at the center back, take 1 inch and mark it. Then connect it using a curve ruler. Connect it using a curve ruler the way I'm doing right here. So with this, we are almost done. I want to shape the back a little bit to avoid any pointy edge. I want to avoid any pointy edge because there's no pointy edge on the body. You want to make everything curve. You can draw a line or make a line at this side of the back to make 3 pieces for the back. So now I'm going to cut out the back, and I'm also going to add my zipper allowance. Don't forget to add all the necessary allowance, maybe while cutting on fabric. Remember, everything is cut on half. The pattern I make is half for the front and half for the back. Now you can draw a line. If you want a yoke to be on the back too, you will use net for your yoke for the front and for the back. So with this, we are done with our tutorial. So you can also make a design neckline at the back of the yoke. You can make anything as you please. Just feel free to play around with your pattern. Number the back pattern as well because you don't want any confusion. If you want to see a tutorial on how to stitch it up or how to sew it, kindly comment in the comment section. So this is the front and this is everything for the back as well.